I'm at an interesting point in my film career where I'm using expensive equipment, but still having to work around some situations on the cheap. And one of the issues that I've come across recently is transmitting video. I'm not currently at a point where I want to spend $5,000 on a Teradek, but I do want to find a video transmitter that is affordable, will transmit a strong signal, and preferably not be too large. So here's what I got today. We've got the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro, Accsoon Cineeye 2S Pro, and then we've got this little guy, the IDX Cam Wave CW1, which is what I've been using for several years now. Signal of this isn't that strong. It's great if you're in line of sight. It'll go, 100 feet, no problem. But as soon as you throw a wall in between there or a person, it can get a little funky. Here's my camera. It's the red 8K helium. As you can see, it's not small. We do a lot of handheld stuff. This is why I don't want something big and bulky on the camera. However, I'm willing to sacrifice for low latency and signal reliability, especially going through walls. Hopefully, one of the two new options will suffice. Look at that. Small. Nice. I like that. Gets points for the size. Let's close these doors. See what that does. And keep in mind, these doors aren't that thick. So I would expect it to go through these doors very easily. Signal set of 3. All right, let's venture through here. All right, so now we're in another part of my apartment. 2 bars now, but still working out pretty well. This will be interesting if we can go in the bedroom. Okay, so now we have several walls between us, and this seems to be working pretty well still. We've got 2 bars. Okay, I'm now outside of my apartment. We have several thick walls between us and the transmitter. Let's go out here. It's the stairwell. Okay, so we're froze right now. My initial reaction is a positive one overall. I really like the on-off buttons because it's something that you have to push in and it clicks into place instead of just touching it and then, so that's pretty cool. The thing I didn't like about it is that I was expecting to be able to power this off of the camera power, USB-C, and that didn't work. So I'm guessing I probably could use the D-tap, which is something that I would like to explore, but the USB power adapter that's on the camera that powers this one just fine does not work for the Hollyland device. So let's test out the Accsoon 2S Pro connected with no antennas. This is the size difference. It's not that much bigger. It is a little bit bigger, but the thing that really helps the Hollyland is that you could mount it sideways. And until I figure out another way, this one, the Cineeyes, I have to mount it straight up and down, which is peculiar. If I was out in the field right now, I would not be rocking it like this. But this is how it's connected right now. So with antennas, there's going to be 4 antennas on the back of that. So I have to figure out, if I am going to stick with this one, I have to figure out where I am going to mount it. And this thing's freaking heavy right now. Yeah, those are large antennas. I mean, this, oh my gosh. All right. Sorry, I had to re-grip. This thing, I'm just gonna like skip, because with antennas like this, I mean, this should get a frequency like on the moon, you know. All right, so we're back in the bedroom. As expected, it's fine. Let's go out into the hall. All right, I'm in the hall, in front of my apartment complex, in front of my apartment, and signal looks to be very strong still. All right, so now we're in the stairwell. Very thick walls. Very thick walls. And as if you recall, this is where the Hollywood device failed. We're going through several walls right now, and this thing is beasting. All right, let's go down a floor and see what happens. So we are down a floor, and you know, floor walls are extremely thick, and it's still not even skipping. Wow. Okay, so I'm 2 floors down right now. I live on the 3rd floor. 2 floors down, and we lost it. Easily handled 1 floor. Like I'd say a floor and a half, because that's 2 floors and this is 1 floor. So floor and a half. As expected, this thing did very well. I mean, it went through tons of walls. It went through a floor. Not a fan of the size though. Not that the Pterodecks are small. They're not as big as this to my recollection. I've only used them a couple times, but I remember I didn't panic when I thought about how am I going to put that on my camera. All right, last but not least, we've got the IDX Cam Wave. I don't even know if they make these anymore, to be quite honest with you. We shot a feature with this. We've shot pilots, commercials, you name it. We've shot it with this little thing. IDX Cam Wave. I'm really not expecting this thing to go very far. But let's see. This is the one that I have been using in the field, and it doesn't have any antennas. It's very small, which is, you know, the good part. All right, holding up pretty well. Oh. So as you can see right here, it's starting to get very fuzzy, very pixelated. Definitely can't pull focus. Oh, we've lost the signal. So we didn't quite make it into the bedroom, but we did make it a little further than I thought we would. Definitely not something that you can be using in a different room. You pretty much have to be line of sight with this one, which has been very difficult and very frustrating. All right, that's what I expected. Well, my initial reaction is pretty much what I expected. I mean, I knew that the size of this thing was going to annoy me. But I also knew that the strength of this was going to make me question if it was going to work for what I need. And as you saw in the video, this is definitely an improvement from what I was using before, and the signal is definitely stronger. But is it strong enough? I don't know. But this one, 100% very strong. Let's see how the latency plays out, because at this point, that could be the deciding factor for me. All right, now we have the Hollyland connected through HDMI on both sides.
I remember that there's a setting on the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro that you can actually change. You can toggle if you want high def, or if you want speed, or if you want a balance of both. So we're gonna see what happens when we put it on speed. Okay, now we've got the Hollyland with the SDI, and again we just have HDMI going there. So this one looks slower now. All right, now we've got the Accsoon. Let's go. All right, now I've connected the SDI to the transmitter.
I did hear that the higher the frames per second, the lower the latency. So that could be why HDMI, which is outputting at 60 frames per second, is lower latency than the SDI, which is outputting at 24 frames per second. Well, that was very interesting. Did not get the results that I thought I was going to get with a latency test. The surprise winner was actually the Cam Wave. I didn't do that scientific of a test, so I can't tell you how many milliseconds that each of them came in at, but I can tell you the separation in milliseconds from one another. It came in at 0.10 and 0.12. It was very consistent with that. The next best one, which, you know, I figured it would be up there, was the Accsoon. But the thing that was interesting about this was it wasn't that much quicker than the Hollyland. I would say maybe a little more consistent. It was hovering around 0.18 to 0.19 for the most part, and the Hollyland was 0.18 to 0.24, pretty consistent. I mean, we're not talking about that drastic of a difference. 0.12 at most between the Cam Wave and Hollyland. Here's the bottom line. For me, this is not going to work because it can't go through walls. It can't go through people very well. It has to have line of sight. If all you need is line of sight and you want something that's affordable and that will get you by, and that's, I mean, look how small it is. Like, you can literally power this off of your camera. So if that's you, then, you know, try to get something like this. There's probably even a newer, better one out by now. If you need something a little more robust, then I think the Hollyland is a great median. It has tons of great features. It can go through walls, but it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna get you the most distance. But it's still compact, which is great. And then you've got this guy. Yeah, if size doesn't bother you and you want distance, if distance is what is most important to you, then this is your guy right here. If you're doing an action film or something like that and you need like zero latency, this is not gonna, none of these are gonna work for you in that scenario. But if that's not as big of a deal and you need distance, this is your guy. So that's the end of the video. Hope I helped you in some way. This was definitely educational for me. Until next time.